Alright, hello, greetings, welcome in everyone, hi. My name is Harrier Citadel, avian alien sentinel of Fort Misthaven, perpetrator of creative chaos, and general maker of things. Welcome in, hello Citrina, how goes? Reporting for duty, how are you doing? I'm doing okay, I am not yet 100% recovered, but I'm slowly but certainly getting there. CL, hello, welcome, good to see you. How do? So we are in for a little bit of a strange day today because we are in a new Twitch category for a first time today. We are going to be doing our musical batsu from the Donathon from way back. We are finally doing the musical batsu. I'm nervous. It goes well. Just about to start driving, but I will be here. Oh, I hope you drive safely. I hope that the abomination of noises that you're going to hear is not going to drive you completely off the wall. New category. Yes, we're in the music category today. I'm terrified. I've never been in here before. For those of us who are on YouTube, there's nothing new or different or scary about that. It's just categorization for search features on the other side. Just reading? Ah, nice. I hope you enjoy your book. Hehe. Reading is fun. I really need to get back into it. I've got 2 Terry Pratchett novels on my shelf waiting for me. I just need to get there. Anyway, so let me explain what is going to be happening today. So, for those of us who were not here, in the tail end of last year, I ran a donathon, and one of the last things that we achieved on that was a batsu, which we unlocked, in which I would need to write a song strictly in Audacity. Now, this is a batsu for 2 reasons. 1, I am very much limited in terms of my tool set, and 2, I don't know anything about writing music, so this is gonna be very much a case of winging it to a laughable degree. I have no idea what we're in for, guys. I am so sorry in advance. Maybe we managed to get something that sounds half possible and salvageable in some way, shape, or form. But yes, we are winging it all of the wings. That is absolutely 100% correct on that front. Disclaimers in terms of my musical background. I have got a little bit of experience singing in choirs. So I spent 5 years in university level choirs doing some singing stuff. I never learned how to actually properly 100% read sheet music while I was there. I was able to follow along and kind of got the gist of what some of the markings meant. But the mathematical relationships between the notes, couldn't figure it out. Still don't know when I look at a dot on a line or between a line what note it's supposed to correlate to. So my music theory is minimal on the best of days. I can hold a note, which is helpful. I'd be very sorry for my choirs if I could not hold a note over those 5 years. Yipes. Oh my gosh, I'm not alone. No, you are not alone. We are, in fact, musically untrained here. So, very limited. And also, I'm still in recovery from being sick, so I apologize in advance if I need to mute out for a second here and there to just clear the airways, which I think I need to actually do presently. One moment, please. Okay, sorted. All right. So there is that little disclaimer. Now, I'm not going to be doing all of the sound stuff vocally because some of the more percussive things that I may want to implement, I might actually end up doing a little bit of Foley with. I've only got one microphone, which is my usual streaming microphone. In terms of what it is a MyPro MM707P. So MyPro Mike 707 Papa. That is the microphone that I'm using. I haven't got a pop screen. There's no sponge, no dead cat, or anything like that. It's just the microphone. And I have a few things on my desk that I can potentially use as well. I have a little jar of dirt. I have an aluminium straw. I have an empty bottle. And where is my little plastic handle? One moment. I had a little plastic handle which was going to be very useful. These little plastic handles used to belong to an exercise resistance band. So it's just these little plastic pipes. But what's fun is that if I hold them and operate them against my hand in a very specific way, we get this sound. So it sounds a little bit like a water drop. So those are the tools that I presently have at my disposal. The aluminium straw came in a little bamboo tube, so I've got that as well. Good, nice little woodblock sound. So as far as percussive aids go, that's what I've got. But for the rest of it, I am basically operating on a vocal-only basis because I do not know how to play any musical instruments, and I don't have anything of that description with me. So we are in for an interesting exercise on the best of days, I think. So I think what we should probably do is have a last hydrate before the madness begins. Coffee. With vocal work, it's technically supposed to be tea, but this is the after supper coffee. All right. Let's go into the madness. I fear this. I fear this immensely. So I think the first thing we need to do is decide on a time signature. Whether we are counting in 2s or 3s or 4s or 6s or 8s. I think that is going to probably be our best starting point. So let's start with putting together a rhythm track. And switching off our background music. Dun dun dun! The silence. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you should have this Audacity should be feeding through to my audio mixer here in OBS. Let me just check. Okay, that looks like you can hear it. I'm just going to turn that down over there. little bit more because otherwise you're gonna have pain. A metronome is critical. Okay. So, I think first things first, let's decide. Are we feeling that that is fast enough? Yeah, we'll start with there and then see if we need to change things up. And then we need to decide, do we want to be on 4 or do we want to be on a 3? I think the 3's got actually potential for a nice, interesting we don't hear a lot, I think, in terms of waltzes nowadays, so maybe that'll be an interesting challenge on top of everything else, is to actually, instead of do the 4/4 rock standard, to actually do a waltz type thing. Maybe that'll be interesting. There, let's give it a try. The worst that can happen is that we decide we hate it, right? So let me first things first rename this track into our metronome so that we can see what we're looking at. And that's going to probably be going for... Oh, hold up. What's the duration on this? Okay, it's like 3 minutes. That's more than enough, I think. For our purposes, for now. We're going to see if we can come up with a couple of interesting sounding somethings, I suppose. And then from that, we will see if there's anything that fits together, I think. I have no idea what we're doing, so we're winging it. We're winging it. So we've got just getting the rhythm in my head. Okay. So methinks I'm gonna start by concepting out something like a rhythmic pattern. I think that'll probably be the safest place to start. I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's figure something out, right? It would help if I didn't do that at the end of the track. At the beginning, thank you. No, not happy with that. Not happy with that at all. No, it goes. Goodbye. Let me just hear this again. I'm feeling daft. Da da bum da da ba dum dum da dum da dum. Okay. Okay. I've got no idea what I've got going on in my head, but let's give it a try. Dum, ba ta ta tum tum, ba ta ta tum pum, tum tum, ta tum, tut tut tum tut 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 tut. Okay, that sounds really bland because it's kind of all on the same note there. But there I was more focused on rhythm than on pitch. Let's hear how. Hello, Sishian. Welcome in, welcome in. We are doing a Batsu from the Donathon that happened last year, whereby I have to write a piece of music strictly in Audacity, and I don't know anything about writing music, so we are winging it in hard mode. So that is what we're currently doing. It's kind of very risky, but hey, if it works well, who knows? We might actually have something at the end of this that's a sketch that can turn into something. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not actually 100% happy with this rhythm. I feel like I want something a little bit faster because this current metronome pattern makes me feel like I've got to actually slow my overarching rhythms down. And I don't necessarily want to do that. So I'm gonna scrap that. Scrap that. Generate rhythm. Tut tum tum. Tut tum. Or am I being a little bit foolish? Let's put that on 120. I'm going to put this on 120 and I'm going to put it on 4. And if I want to put any swing or shuffle on it, I'm going to put it on beat 3. Oh, hello. We've actually got a swing amount. Here. Oh, hello there. I didn't know that you could do that. You have an empty bottle? I do indeed. I'm just going to put that back down on 0 and come back to defaults. If you blow across the hole, it makes noise too. This is true. This is true. It's a kind that's got a cork, so that's so satisfying. Adding liquid will make a lower sound. This is true. I don't really want to put any liquid in this bottle though, because it is a bit of a special bottle in a way. And it's got the tail ends of a really nice whiskey in the bottom of it. Like the last couple of drops in a very aromatic bottle that I occasionally just take a little sniff of every now and again after, to just remember what this stuff tasted like once upon a time. This was my first bottle of Japanese whiskey that I've still got the bottle for. It smells good. But, okay, so let us try this again. We've changed our rhythm pattern to a standard 4/4 at 120 BPM, which is a good standard walking speed, I suppose you could call it that. Like this is a good exercise walking pace. If you can keep your steps up at this rate, you're going fast. So let's see if we can use that to come up with something. I feel like we are needing to actually get a foundation going now. It would help if I was on the correct track. You go away, go to there, come over there. Doom do doom do doom doom do do doom do doom do do doom 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 do doom 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 do doom do 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 doom. Alright, that's got a little bit of silence at the end that I might be able to use to clean that up later. Let me just close my door again because my dog walked in. Presently, my LAN cable is running through my doorway in such a way that it doesn't close properly, so my dog could just push it open with her nose, and now here we are. So let's give this a listen and see if I absolutely despise this. So here you can hear the room noise. Okay, so I've got some latency issues there. Let's see. Latency. Let's try 140. I think that might be the thing there. In the meantime, let's just put this in line. Okay, so that's more or less on beat, more or less, give or take a couple of milliseconds here and there. That will more or less work. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor a little bit further down the line. Let's put it on a 1 count. There we go. And let's check the latency on the next section. Wait, how many bars is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-bar pattern. Okay. Of course, I would naturally go for an 8-bar pattern. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Woohoo. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Okay, now let's see what the latency was like on this. That was not bad. That latency adjustment did the trick, more or less. Okay. So I like this one being a bit on the backbeat. I think maybe if one takes that and pitch shifts it down, it might be the foundation of an interesting bass line. So let me do this. Let me go add a new mono track. Copy. Paste. Mute. Grab this. Effect. Pitch and tempo. Change pitch. We're gonna go I want to go from I'm gonna go down 1 octave first. Let's see. Okay, so interesting fact that the microphone is actually picking up the metronome that is playing by my headphones. Okay, oh boy. That is encouraging. Let me just trim. Generate silence in that space. Pitch down an octave. Let's preview. It's going to be a little bit. Okay, it sounds like a really, really rubbish synth. It sounds like a really rubbish synth, but it's not final instrumentation, so I'm not too perturbed about that. It's just getting the idea. So if we run both parallel, mute that one again. that might actually be the beginnings of an interesting bass line. Like, on a proper instrument, that might actually sound good. However, it's only 8 bars. Now, what are we thinking in terms of how this would probably... let's before we start thinking about that, let's see if I can come up with something that's 12 long instead of just 8. What did my first section sound like? Okay. Followed by... Okay. Now, what I am struggling to hear is what sort of a note I might have had in common with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go copy. No, I'm going to go copy, paste, unmute that, zoom in. Now this one starts on a beat 2. So here, this one also needs to start on a beat 2, which, if I just have a little marker here so that I can see that I'm lining that up nicely. Okay, something like that. Okay, let's see what these two sound like in parallel. They're going to sound absolutely atrocious because they're probably in different keys. So brace yourselves. I have no idea what we're in for. Okay, so if we then put this one on a 1, it will have the same duration. And it'll have less of that timing dissonance. Toaster, thank you for the save button. Thank you, thank you. You have caught us in our musical batsu. We are musical batsuing. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if this is more punishment for me or for you, but we're trying to write music in Audacity. So far, we've not got much. Let's hear what's our status. How are you doing, Toaster? Coffee before the next bout of pain. ADHD brain has taken over, and me has a strong desire to rappel from a helicopter. You know what? That tracks. Hanging out of helicopters sounds like fun. Hanging out of helicopters sounds like fun. Once again, everything depends on the landing. Oh my. Okay. Let's see if this is going to work or if they belong in two separate pieces of whatever. They definitely do not belong together. They definitely do not belong together. That much is certain. Okay. One just needs to test the theory. Doing activities helps, gives ideas for future projects for me when I do. I see, I see. That sounds like fun. That sounds like fun indeed. Okay, so what do we want to work off of as starting point? Because these are two very, very different things that do not sound like they belong together. So let's see. This one is... This one feels like it should have been at 12. This one should have been a 12 bar, anyway. Because it feels like it kind of goes nowhere. Let's see this one. Okay, that sounds like it belongs at the... That sounds like it belongs on an instrumental tail out from a verse, it feels like. I don't know. Let's think. When in doubt, start on a new thing, right? Let's see. How about... I liked the second one's sort of feel a bit better, so let's iterate off of that. That was so let's go. Let's assume that I'm going to need 2 by 12 bar sections. Maybe let's try for that. So what'll a 12 bar sort of a thing for this sound like? Because this is 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now to not come up with something that sounds like I'm ripping off Smoke on the Water. Okay. Do 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 do. Okay, I've definitely had some duff notes there. And how many bars is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8! Again! How do I keep getting 8? Wait, where even is that one? Where did it go? I did not actually hit the record button on that one, did I? Gasp, I didn't. I didn't hit the record button on that one. I just hit the play button because I'm daft. Okay. Okay, it's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the record button here, let it play through, and then pick up immediately after. Do 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 do. Okay, how long is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and a little bit, looks like. Okay, so eight is my number here. I only seem to be thinking in eights in terms of bar counts here. Okay. How on the mark is that though in terms of my timing? Let's just swap those around. Put you more on that beat. Undo. Put you on the 1. Breath on the 3. My first note on the 1. Okay. So what does that end on? That ends on this. That ends on the 2 of the next bar. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 and a bit. Okay. So it's basically a 16 bar pattern. So it's 2 by 8. Because let's just check, where does this one change? I think this one echoes this other side. Okay, the last 4 echoes this one. That is its own phrase. Okay. So now let's see, where's this one? In terms of... Wait. You move up there. Yeah. That is excess that cuts off. So theoretically, if this then more or less lines up over here, how will those two chain together? Okay, so that is probably the most chorus-ish stretch of something. But we don't know necessarily what direction this is going in yet, so it's currently still just throwing ideas in a pile and seeing what sticks, right? And that might work for a... If we pitch it down, it might work for a baseline sort of thing, but we don't actually still know what key this is. We don't know what key we're in, which means that anything we do on top of this is in for all of the flopsies in terms of what can happen. Sai, hello, hello. Yes, we are musicking or attempting to. Why? Because Audacity Batsu from the Donathon. That was the last thing that we unlocked before it ended. Gasp. That we are still busy catching up on all of the Donathon things that need fulfillment, and hence we are here doing something that I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Should probably hit the save button and hydrate. Everyone, acquire your nearest safe for consumption beverages, and let's take a sip. that is the end of my coffee. Yeah, so I have no idea what I'm doing. How do you understand all the doodads on screen? I have worked in Audacity on and off for the last 15 years, so I am passingly familiar with a bunch of them. So, this has been kind of the audio suite that I grew up in, I suppose you could say. Every time I've done anything that's audio related, I do it in Audacity. Whether it be recording things or quickly checking how to or getting tone for a thing. Like I made the tone that I had internally for my previous hydrate timer. I made that using a tone whoop in here. But it just basically is the tool that I am most familiar with. So the play, pause, and record buttons are fairly straightforward. This is Audacity. Why does it look so much more swanky than my Audacity? It might be the dark mode that I've got my machine set up in. And also this is, I think, Audacity version 3.7.7. Yeah, this is 3.7.7. Which is one of the releases that came after the merge with Muse and Muse Score, which is an open source notation software, which I've also messed around with a little bit here and there. Not anything that I would call good, but I've messed around in it. So, yes. It is a slightly newer version, but I do know that Audacity is getting a facelift somewhere in the relatively near future as well. As part of its updates in the whole Muse suite of open source software. That is a thing, apparently. That is going to be coming sooner or later. So, yes. But dark mode generally makes everything look a little bit more modern. If I had to put this in light mode, I apologize for your eyes. It would, yeah, preferences. Interface. Yeah, if I had to put this in classic, then it would look like normal Audacity. That's what I grew up with Audacity looking like, is that. Keith, hello, good afternoon, Harrier. I've been a bit busy for a few days, so I haven't been able to watch, but are you feeling better? No longer sick, right? All better? Sorry if my chat seemed to like a circle. No, it's all right, Keith Manta. Thank you. I am mostly better. I'm still suffering a little bit of bugginess here and there, but we are mostly better. Thank you for asking. We are getting there. Cyprime says yes, that's the one I know. Yeah, this is the classic look. I just like dark mode because I don't like my eyes burning. So theme dark. That just looks better. It just looks better. It's amazing what a color choice does for your experience with a piece of software. Okay. Pardon me, I just need to mute out for a moment. Sorry about that. Speaking of being sick, I just needed to quickly clear the airwaves. Just a wee bit. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to now grab this and we need to hit the analyze tool. Let's see if I can find that is not what I'm looking for. What I want to see is if I can find some way to figure out what key this is in, because I've actually got no notes that I've got no idea what notes I used for any of this. So, let me just see. Audacity, find key in recorded audio. Let's see. Do not give me AI mode. Search engine. Let me see. Okay, let me switch this from, let's just try this for a second here, so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, that does not help me at all. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Okay. I have no idea what I'm looking at, so that does not help me. I wonder if there is a way that I can figure out what I've got here. Let's just hear this once more so that I can see if I can find what the home base note is. Maybe that's the starting point, is what's the home base note? So that's our home base note. Our home base note is there. So now I'm supposed to not use anything else. I'm supposed to stay strictly in Audacity, even if that means that I've got no idea what I'm actually pitching against. Okay. Means I'm not allowed to open up Muse to help me. I can't open up MuseScore to help me by finding out what note I'm singing. Duh. Is home base. Can I use that? Can I figure out what note that is? Duh. 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 Because here I was a bit uncertain about where I was going, but I think it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's the note. Duh. So come over here. Okay, that should be long enough to figure out. Analyze. Why is that? Um. Okay, still got no idea how that works. But, do you think I'll be able to get away with using a pitch finder on my phone to know what note this is? Do you think that's a safe thing to include in this, to just know what note I'm singing? Oh no, that's gonna be cheating again, so. We know. So that's gonna be the octave down, I think. Yep, I think that's the octave. Okay. Do. Okay. So let me just rename this to be that. And just move this over here. Add a new track. Put that down there. Mute it, because I'm probably not going to use it. Okay, that'll work. So, what was our note? And what was our motif? Just reminding ourselves again. Why does that sound like absolutely trash now? Hold up, hold up. Because it's not starting on a 1, that's why. That's why it's sounding trash, it's because it's starting in the wrong place on a bar. Yeah, that's better. Isn't that what they call syncopation, though? Alternating on-beat with off-beat? I honestly don't know. I legitimately do not know. I am literally just going on gut feel. When I say I have no idea what I am doing, I legitimately have no idea what I am doing. But especially when it comes to starting off with phrase, one wants to start on a beat, otherwise it feels like you've gotten lost. Like, it's why I legitimately could not recognize what I was hearing a second ago when it was starting a beat late. It was just not sitting on the right spots for it to feel like it was in the right places. Okay. So let's just hear that again so that I can get that in my head, because I'm feeling lost again. Okay, so maybe that will give me an idea. Let me just let that mull. There's a song that was used for an anime that starts with a piano rhythm, then adds in a drum beat that's offset by a half beat from the piano rhythm. It can make an interesting effect if that's what you're going for. Might be more prevalent in jazzy music, though. Yeah, something like that is not unheard of, not by long and a ways. Like the Division by Pink Floyd. Also, it is the offbeat rhythm of the bell in that song is a huge thing, because you've got this church bell that goes tong 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 tong, and it feels like the bell feels like it's supposed to be the main beat that everything goes with. But then if you imagine my clap here being the bell, it would be dun. Wait, sorry. Dun. I need to get my timing right here because it's a difficult rhythm. Dum bum 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 bum. Dum bum 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 bum. I just had to change the notes there because otherwise I would get in copyright issues. But it's the bell, when it's on its own, it sounds like it's supposed to be on the ones, but it's actually on the threes, which is really interesting and trippy. 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, wait, is it on the threes? No, the Vision Bell has a really interesting rhythm pattern, actually. Dum dum bum dum 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 dum. That's sort of a rhythm, sort of a feel to it. Feels a little bit like a train on a track. Anyway, I need to not have Pink Floyd in my head. I need to try and figure out my own music, because that's what we're trying to do, right? Write original stuff, not remix other things altogether. So what does that sound like again? Okay. So one that I'm noticing is that I've actually got no idea where I'm aiming for here. Song I'm thinking of is Wild Side by Ali. I got mixed up, though. It was a piano and bass guitar that are offset from each other by a half beat. No, that's cool. It's all cool. Right, so let's think. So let's think. Is our home note, I think. Okay, so that's a home note. Then its octave is gonna be is the octave. Is the third, I think. I don't know if I got that jump right. Add a new mono track. Push that up. Then we're gonna have okay, let's just check. Okay, that sounds more or less right. Then we need to check. Not there. There. No. I think think that's the right note, but I'm not 100% sure. Let's test. It wants to be there. Was that where I was, I think? Ooh. I think that's right, but I'm not 100% sure. There's only one way to find out. Let's just check, because I need to get landmarks. And then one more. Just want to check. Okay. Now we check if this does in fact form a coherent chord, or if I'm absolutely off my rocker. One of these is wrong. You are wrong. Okay. Collapse the metronome. Let's just add another track just so that I can put all of these somewhere safely. Out of the way. I will line those up again in a smidge. In the meantime, let's just mute and figure out okay. So that is also wrong. Graveyard is going to live above the metronome because I'm not going to be touching it. Okay. So if that is our home note, landmarks are going to be 1, 3, 5, 8. Those are our main things that, if I recall correctly, it's the root, the third, the fifth, and the octave. Those are the 4 things that you need to be able to identify for being able to compose anything marginally resembling a chord. So let's just pick up what our octave is. Okay, that should be our root and octave. Okay, now let's find the nice note in between. I think that's it. Maybe. It's one of them. So let's mute that. I don't think that's the note that I'm looking for. I think that might be it. Okay, I don't know what changed in my recording settings. Perhaps it was... Oh, it was recording level. That changed. Okay, noted. Sorry if that got really loud. Okay. Now, what's the difference between these two? They are in fact the same note. Okay. They are in fact the same note. Okay. Then what does that put us on here? That's going to be 1 and 3. Okay. So then that should be okay, that is a full chord. Okay, I found it. I found all of the notes. Woohoo. Why is that so loud all of a sudden? Where was this little dot that it was actually muffling everything that I've been recording prior to this? No. Okay. Okay. So rename home U8 home third fifth. Of course it would do this funky thing with my typing. Okay, so those are the landmarks that I need to be aware of. So that's gonna be... different... No, it's just a different timbre. It's the same note. What? That's the same note. Are my ears trash now? Yeah, it's the same note. Which means that this home note is in fact not an octave. Effect, pitch, change pitch. Apply. It's ignore the rubbish timbre, but is that? That is that note. But is that note? Yes, it is. Okay, so somewhere I just can't count. I just can't count. Okay, that I feel better about myself knowing that I am in fact still bad at math. Great. Okay. I should maybe just not try and do the mathematical side type of thing because that's clearly not working for me. Begone with you. Yeah, what a waste of time. Okay. What a waste of time. Unmute, unmute. Come over here. Calyx, hello, hello. When I grow up, I want to see the world. Drive nice cars. I want to be in movies. That is a nice ambition to have. I do not know what's going on here with my interface, but okay. It's a Pussycat Dolls song? I see. I see. I am not familiar with them. I apologize. Ria, do you know about the Lalililelo? I don't know what you are referring to there because it could be any number of things. It could be referring to any number of things. knew that there was something that had soloed. Okay. It could, isn't it just vowels? Like, yes, it's just vowels, but it could also be the learning hiragana song. I don't know. It could be the Japanese alphabet song. I don't know. Because of that order. Because if it was a, I, o, u, then it would be very much English. But the lalilulelo is definitely very much not English. The order of operations makes me think it's something more specific. Okay. So... It's crazy you know about Japanese alphabet songs. I am following a person who is a very good bass player, and he did a sing with me, well, very good musician and does music production stuff as well. And he did a guitar piece where you play along, where he plays, and you're supposed to sing the thing over the top of him. Where he did this with this alphabet song, and it was just mind-blowing. So it's like it's stuck in my head as a piece of trivia that it's a thing that exists. She knows too many things, you have to be specific. Yes, because sometimes you know enough things that you don't know what you know and what you don't know. I love how breathy your voice is still. Yeah, the breathiness in my voice is something that's actually kind of normal. And I actually think that is a sign of breath weakness a little bit as well. If what I can gather is actually the truth is that the general strength of my system is such that there's actually air wastage when I speak. And that is what adds that breathy quality to the voice overall. It's not actually good in the long run, because that infers diaphragm weakness, which is bad for lung capacity management. Grr! Those gorgeous long notes that last for a small eternity, that don't get handled well. So that is something that I am actually supposed to be working on, but me and exercise have not been strong friends lately. Anyway, what we have managed to do is we've managed to waste an entire hour on trying to figure out what note I was actually, what series of notes I'm supposed to be using, and rather than actually making stuff. So I feel like I've been wasting your guys' time quite significantly, and even though I know this is supposed to be a batsu, I feel like I've wasted your guys' time. It is now gar. It's not a waste, Ria. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The fool thinks he is wise, the wise man knows that he knows himself to be a fool. Yeah. It's a thing, it's a thing. No, so, I feel like I've definitely, started somewhere and circled back to having nothing. But then again, I can't expect to have had too much progress, considering that, once again, I know nothing about writing music, so here we are. But I'm going to give this one more listen, see if I can figure something out for where this is going. I cut a note off the front of this one. I cut a note off the front of this one. I thought that was a breath. It was in fact not a breath. Okay. Okay. Okay, there we go. Save. What's the effect of being past the Dunning-Kruger effect? Someone who knows little has no idea of how much they don't know. If you know some, then you're more aware of the mountain you haven't gotten to yet, which unfortunately exacerbates imposter syndrome depending on the person. Yes, 100% true. When in reality that person is demonstrably more proficient than someone unearned confidence who knows nothing and thinks they know everything. Yeah, that's the difference between being an unconscious incompetent, a conscious incompetent, and then you get the mythical being that is the conscious competent. You also get the slightly lesser known but very enviable situation where you've got the unconscious competent, the person who doesn't know that they're actually really good at the thing. It's a little bit of a interesting collection of potential cognitive spheres to find yourself in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two and I'm going to join them. If it'll let me. Okay, so now for all practical purposes, those are the same clip. Why? Because they're the same motif, the same thought. Whether that thought is any good is still to be determined. Okay. What I want to do is I want to copy that, paste it, effect, pitch, change it down an octave, apply. It's going to sound awful, but the entire point of that is to try and find a baseline more than anything else. So mute the top one. that might need to get transposed up, because I don't think a bass guitar goes that low, even on a 5 or a 6 string bass. I don't know if they've got a string that goes that low. Okay, good to know. Let's go. Cancel. Undo. Pitch. Instead of being 12 semitones, let's make that minus 8 semitones. Okay. Apply. Okay, so that sounds like a little bit more stable than trying to work at that higher pitch. Trying to figure out from where we're going from there. Okay, so rather than trying to figure out an entire piece from start to finish on a single quote-unquote instrument line, let's see if we can come up with arrangement or something that works in just this duration. And then if we can come up with something that works in just this duration, then we can look at coming up with a second phrase or a third phrase to maybe look at having something that might coherently tie together. Okay. This is a fairly short thing though. This is only 1, 2, how many bars is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 bars total. Okay, so we're gonna have to improv over the top of that. Okay, let's see if I can come up with something. I'm just gonna reduce that volume a smidge so that I can hear myself thinking. Okay, wait, I just heard the thing in my head. Let's scroll with that again. Sorry, let's try that again. Do 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 Okay, That did not work out in the end because of phraseology. Notes worked out, the phraseology did not. Be gone with you. So we've got a phrase, a longer phrase. Where do our phrases end? Sorry, let's just check that. So those two agree with each other. This one is a section, and that goes all the way up until... So that's a short one. Another single. So there are 3 singles and then a reprise. So it's a double, 3 singles and a reprise. Okay. A double, 3 singles and a reprise. Come on. Very frustrating when I can't actually grab the thing. Okay. A double, 2, 3 singles, and a reprise. Do, 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 I have no hope about that one, but okay. Let's hear it. I've no hope with that one. Okay, that is disgusting. That is disgusting. Okay, this is not working. This is not working. That was disgusting. Let's think. How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? This is difficult to do in Audacity. This is why this is a botsy, guys. This is why this is a botsy. This is difficult to do on Audacity. This would be so much easier to mess around with a new score where I can move individual notes. And not have to remember what everything sounds like and actually be able to see what things sound like. Was that firstly didn't line up. I think that's the first problem with this entire mess, was that that did not line up on any sort of a beat in any way, shape or form. Okay, lining it up helped. The latency messed me around there. Lining it up helped. But it still feels really messy. Feels like it doesn't belong together. Part of the problem here is that we still don't actually know what we're trying to go for. We don't know what sort of a feeling we're aiming for. We don't know what we're actually planning on doing with this thing in the end. We're just kind of really throwing ideas at the wall and seeing what sticks. So let's mute that one for a bit. Try number next. I didn't want to throw you off by saying what kind of music it reminded me of, unbidden, but it did give me a certain vibe. I'm also starting to get a certain vibe, but I don't know what it is. I honestly don't know what it is. Any similarities to existing stuff is entirely coincidental at this point. But hey, the worst thing that you can do is throw a name at me and it's something I don't even recognize, right? Not a song in specific, but a general area. Okay, general area. I'll take it. It's a 12-bar phrase. It can go anywhere at this point. I was getting Final Fantasy orchestral triumphant theme sort of vibe. Okay. I am somehow not entirely surprised by that, considering how much OST I listen to. I am not surprised by that, actually. I listen to a lot of OSTs. When I listen to music, I listen to OSTs mostly. Let me think. This is also one of those cases where it would be an awful lot easier if I was doing this against a brief to know, okay, what sort of a thing am I actually trying to achieve? But I don't, because I'm just kind of, once again, throwing ideas at a wall and seeing what sticks. Wondering without knowing what you're wondering for is... quite a shot in the dark. Because I don't want to necessarily do too much arranging until I have a solid idea of what is the main melody and what is the chord progression. That is the foundation of that carries the entire thing. Because without those two things, any orchestration over the top is just a mess. Wandering while wandering. Yeah, wandering squared, yes. That is pretty much it. We are We're wondering why we're wondering, and wondering where it wandered wrong. Once again, this would be easier if I was doing this in MuseScore, but this is a Batsu. So, here we are. Let me think. Is our foundation maybe just too busy? One cannot wander wrong or wander wrong. Wondering and wandering simply are. That is true. It doesn't make you feel any less lost, though, either which way. I feel like I'm just working off of too busy a base. Let's try mute that for a second. Unmute this. Let's just hear what's going on here on its own. Yeah, I hear a little bit of Red 13's theme at the end here. I see what you mean there. Yeah. I think this one is going into the graveyard. It just popped into my mind the other vibe I got. Fire Emblem. I don't want to say, but there's a specific song I'm thinking of. Heard it all the time while I was playing Smash Bros. Completely different melody, but the vibe. Interesting. I've not actually heard Fire Emblem music, so that is an interesting coincidence. Fire Emblem is one of those franchises that I never really got into or saw via other people. I don't even know if I like this vibe. And where it wants to take us, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea where that's going. I'm just gonna hit the save button on this project, but let's bail. I've run out of time for this day. I've run out of time for this day, and yeesh. Okay. You hear a lot of Nintendo music while playing Smash Bros. Games, even if from franchises you've never actually played. I can believe that, considering that Smash Bros. Is one of those massive crossover type of games. I can understand there being a heavy carryover of the musical themes as well in that case. Yeah, guys, this has been a challenge. I previously compared what we were going to be doing to Jump King, and I don't feel like it's very different from that in terms of outcomes. We were still in the starting blocks. 2 hours later. 2 hours later, we're still in the starting blocks, exactly where we left off at the beginning of the stream. Detours, but still in the starting blocks. There. But thank you guys for bearing with me for that. I definitely think that while being able to vocally capture ideas is helpful, if I try and do any music writing in stream again, I am not going to be doing it on Audacity. There will not be a part 2 to this Batsu. I do not think. If we want to continue our attempts at musical madness, that will be in Muse School. It will not be in Audacity on its own. Perhaps one day at the end of coming up with a composition that sounds like something actually usable, I might record the oohs and ahs and bloody fish paste, all of that jazz that goes over the top in Audacity, as I do. But as far as the actual content goes, definitely not going to be the same. Anyway, I think with that, we are going to call it a night. It has been a challenge, but we, at the very least, proved to ourselves that there is much to learn. much to learn. Doing something like this creatively to just remind you that you are in fact not capable of everything at all times sometimes is an important reset to temper your creative inklings one little piece at a time. But thank you guys very much. I am not 100% sure what we will be doing in the early parts of next week. Once again, on Wednesday, we are going to be continuing with the reanalysis fight catch-ups. Hopefully I'll be able to start a little bit earlier, so we should be able to get through more of those. And I'm probably going to do a little bit more Misthaven work in the upcoming streams. I am currently fighting brainworms. I'm fighting so many brainworms to start jumping into 3D again and try character modeling again. It is an effort to resist, because I know it's not where I need to be allocating time right now. Time needs to be allocated to writing more than anything else on that project. So there are a couple of things that I can probably still continue working on actively on the visual side. I still need to go through the visual development for the civilian looks for Lamille and Aspen, so probably we might be looking at introducing those two to you next week. I've still got to finish Kerith's reference sheet. I need to start all of the lads on their reference sheets. So still much to do on that front visually, but a lot of writing on the cards. But for now, I need to put some work in on some commissions that are in the queue. Zany's character design, I need to finish before the end of the weekend in terms of the first pass of iterations on that for his armor that he commissioned. And I had to salvage the art layers for Sishian because that was the file that I had opened during the lightning strike and it got corrupted. So I spent a large portion of today trying to salvage that file. I got most of the layers, most of them, for his VTuber model. So that was thankfully something that I was able to mostly rescue. I just lost a little bit of his hair, and I needed to steal the sketch layers back from our chat history to get the sketch layers back, because those had also corrupted. So that was panic. That had to be dealt with. And then Bread also ordered a character design as well, so that is also something that needs to happen in the relatively near future. Bread's, I think, is actually going to be a lot more straightforward than anything else in the queue at the moment, but we shall see exactly how things will turn out on that front. What's happening over the weekend? Potentially a great many things, potentially nothing. Right. Oh yes, Valentine's Day is happening over the weekend. Haha. Please guys, reminder that I have got my first voice pack out, so if you guys are interested in that, you can head over to my fourth wall. You should be able to find the link to that in my link tree. You can also find the link to that in my Discord server if you're there, which you shall also be able to find the links for on my profile page accordingly. So yes, if you are interested in getting that little bit of voice drama work for a little bit of Valentine's Day fun, you can have a look at that if that's something that sounds marginally interesting. It is completely safe for work, just if anyone was curious, it is a completely safe for work thing. And I did it all by myself in Audacity. Yeah. So, anyway. I will need to figure out how to get my microphone to not pick up what's happening in my ears. Perhaps I just need to slightly... I need to get used to working at a slightly lower monitoring audio volume. That's probably what I need to get used to. So that it doesn't quite get picked up by the microphone quite so desperately badly, because the microphone does get... the pickup pattern does have my headphones in the range of that, so... That we're not suffering with more feedback issues is already... nothing short of a miracle, a lot of the time. So, yeah. Whew, okay. I will see you all next week. I hope you guys have a fun weekend. And try not melt your brains like I did today. Have fun, everyone. Until next time. Cheery bye.